Good morning. Members will come to the floor and please take your seats. Members come to the floor and please take your seats. I know you all had a wonderful night last night with your sweethearts. Had a great Valentine's Day. I like the Valentine's card I saw online from Representative Roman. I saw that. You didn't do that? Well, we need to pass some of this legislation we're talking about then so we can protect you. Did that guy over there do it? On the other side? Did he do that? All members come to the floor because the hour for convening having arrived. All members will please take their seats. Mr. Clerk, will you ring the bell? All members, please come to the floor. We're going to have the morning roll call. All members present will please vote green to signify their presence in the chamber, and the clerk will unlock the machines. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machines. Doorkeepers, will you please close the doors and keep them closed? As is our custom, we will begin our day with scripture reading and prayer by the chaplain, after which we will pledge allegiance to the flag of our country. Our chaplain this morning will be introduced by the gentleman from the 8th House District, Representative Stan Gunther. Chairman Gunther.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is my pleasure and honor to introduce to you today Ricky Powell. And before I start talking about him, I want to also recognize his wife Donna and son Caleb, who are seated over here, and welcome them to the house. Ricky serves as the senior pastor of First Baptist Church of Blairsville, Georgia, a role he assumed in August of 2022. Hailing from Georgia, he grew up in Lake Park, graduated from Lowndes High School, and served churches in Quitman and Valdosta, Georgia. Prior to moving to Blairsville, he devoted 28 years to the Fort Caroline Baptist Church in Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah, he's a flatlander that moved to the mountains. Ricky earned his Master of Divinity in Christian Apologetics from the New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, and he's known for his unwavering commitment. Ricky is not just a faithful pastor, but also a dedicated preacher of God's Word. Please welcome Pastor Ricky Powell. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Speaker.
That good right there?
Yes, sir. Good morning, and thank you, Speaker Burns and Representative Gunter, and each one of you. It is an honor to be with you for this sacred moment today. As my friend mentioned, I grew up in Lake Park, Georgia, and as a little boy, my Sunday school teacher at Corinth Baptist Church in Lake Park asked us what we wanted to be when we grew up. And I remember saying with boldness, I'm going to become a Georgia State Patrol officer. And she said, why? And I said, I want to wear that uniform. I want to have a big gun. I want to drive a cool car. I'll be able to turn the lights on, turn the sirens on, drive as fast as I want, and if somebody messes with me, I can arrest them. Well, as you can see, God had a different plan for my life. God probably said to the angels of heaven, that boy won't be able to arrest anybody without a lot of backup. So he called me into the gospel ministry when I was 17 years old. And as I look back on my childhood ambition, I realize now that men and women go into law enforcement not for the perks and privileges, but in order to serve and to protect. But honestly, at the age of 12, all I could think about and all I could see were the perks, the privileges, the power, the prestige of being a state patrol officer. I'm sure you can overlook my childish ambition of seeking to be served rather than to serve. But what's harder to overlook is the tendency of the human heart, even after we grow up, to seek to be served first rather than to serve. A spouse might expect to be served without reciprocation. An employer might take advantage of an employee just for personal gain. A pastor might use people to build his ministry rather than using his ministry to build God's people. An elected official might use his office for personal gain rather than for the public's best interest. And you know, we're not the first to struggle with this misguided ambition for greatness and for service. Would it surprise you to know that even the first disciples of Jesus argued among themselves who would be greatest in their company? Who would be at the right and the left hand of Jesus in the kingdom of God when it came? Their arguments became so heated that Jesus had to stop dead in his tracks on his way to Jerusalem, where he was destined to die for our sin on the cross, and deal with his men. In the Gospel of Mark chapter 10, verses 42 and following, the Bible says, and Jesus called them to him and said, you know that those who are considered rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones exercise authority over them. But it shall not be so among you. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant. And whoever would be first among you must be slave of all. I love that Jesus does not so much rebuke their ambition as he redefines it and he redirects it. Jesus says, so you want to be great? Great. Serve someone else. You want to be first? Good. Get at the back of the line and be a slave to the needs of other people. Jesus says, in my kingdom, I don't measure greatness by how many people serve you. I measure greatness by how many people you serve. Now, perhaps you're thinking, Pastor Ricky, this sounds great. Probably works really well on a Sunday morning or in a pastor's life. But we live in the real world, and the principles of Jesus being a servant of all and a slave of all is not going to work in the real world. Somebody has to take the lead. Somebody has to take charge. And listen, I get it. Come to the four-way stop right down the road from my church and try to practice Jesus' principle of putting others ahead of yourself. Say, no, you go. No, you go. No, you go. It won't be long before the guy behind you tells you where you can go. Jesus is not saying that it's wrong to take leadership. He's not saying it's wrong to have ambition. What he is saying is whenever you are in a position of authority or power or opportunity or responsibility, leverage your life for the good of someone else's life? In fact, here's a good question that perhaps we can learn to ask ourselves. How can I help you? It's a simple question, but it's a profound question. Maybe you walk across the aisle and ask, how can I help you? Maybe you go home and look your spouse in the eye and ask, how can I help you? Maybe you go back to school and you ask a struggling student, how can I help you? Maybe you go back to your place of worship, your church, your mosque, your synagogue, and ask, how can I help you? Maybe we just reach out to a neighbor, someone different than us, someone who looks different from us, someone who votes different from us, someone who lives differently than us, and we just say, how can I help you? That question says, how can I leverage my life for the good of your life? That's how I want to live. I think that's how Christ would want each one of us to live. In his kingdom, he doesn't measure greatness by how many people serve us, but by how many people we serve. So why don't we stand together and go to the Lord in prayer? And today we pray in the name of the one who said of himself in Mark chapter 10, verse 45, for even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we come to you today with hearts filled with gratitude for the privilege of serving our communities and state. I thank you for the honor of standing here in this esteemed assembly with dedicated leaders who strive to make a difference in the lives of others. Bless them and their families for their service. As we reflect on the words of Jesus, help us to shun misguided ambition that seeks first to be served. Help us to remember that Jesus measures greatness not by how many people serve us, but by how many people we serve. We praise you that Jesus showed us a better way when he willingly died on the cross for our sins and rose from the dead 3 days later. Forgive us of our sins and strengthen our hands today as we seek to help others in all that we do. Bless our military personnel, law enforcement, healthcare providers, and educators. Bless Governor Brian Kemp, Speaker Burns, and all who serve this great state. This we pray in Jesus' name, amen. Now for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doorkeepers, you may unlock the doors, open the doors. Members, you may join Pastor Ricky in the South Ante room. Here's a Lake Park man right here, Brother Ricky. Grew up John Corbett, Chairman Corbett. House will come to order. Members, at least get somewhere close to your seats if you can't sit in them. Our Doctor of the Day is brought to us today by Chairlady Deborah Silcox, Dr. Harlan Starr. We welcome Dr. Starr and appreciate Dr. Starr being here with us and taking care of us. Chairman Tarvin is recognized, the chair of the Committee on Information and Audits. Chairman Tarvin.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Information and Audits has read the journal from the previous legislative day and found it to be correct. And on another note, never let the fear of losing become greater than the excitement of winning.
That's pretty profound. I never thought about that. Fear of losing. We shouldn't be worried about that. Move forward. Always forward. Is there any objection to dispense with the reading of the journal? Chair hears none. The reading of the journal is dispensed with. Is there any objection to the confirmation of the journal? Chair hears none, and the journal is confirmed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the resolution establishing the order of business for the day?
Representative Illustration of the 104th moves following be established as the order of business during the first part of the period unanimous consents. Introduction of bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of House bills and resolutions, second reading of bills and resolutions, reports of standing committees, third reading and passage of uncontested local bills and resolutions, first reading and reference of Senate bills and resolutions, morning orders.
Is there an objection to the adoption of the resolution establishing the order of business for the day? Chair hears none, and the resolution is adopted. First readings of bills and resolutions. Mr. Clerk, will you read?
House Bill 1262 by Representative Boehner of the 56th, a bill being titled an act to amend Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to elementary and secondary education.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1263 by Representative Schofield of the 63rd, Drenner of the 85th, Davis of the 87th, Scott of the 76th, Evans of the 89th. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 12 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to conservation and natural resources.
Natural Resources and Environment.
House Bill 1264 by Representative Stevens of the 164th, Jones of the 47th, Jones of the 25th, Irwin of the 32nd, Clark of the 100th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 43 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to professions and businesses.
Health.
House Bill 1265 by Representative Westbrook of the 163rd, Stevens of the 164th, Jackson of the 165th, Willis of the 55th, Carpenter of the 4th. Bill be titled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 7 and Title 48 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to tax returns and furnishing of information.
Ways and Means.
House Bill 1266 by Representative Washburn of the 144th, Powell of the 33rd, Stevens of the 164th, Crow of the 118th, Camp of the 135th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Titles 12, 32, and 50 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to conservation and natural resources.
Governmental Affairs.
House Bill 1267 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Gunther of the 8th, Lackman of the 146th, Buckner of the 137th, Stone of the 40th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to state government.
Judiciary.
House Bill 1268 by Representative Hawkins of the 27th, Dubnik of the 29th, Donahue of the 31st, McCollum of the 30th, Clark of the 100th, and others. Bill be titled an act to provide a new homestead exemption from Hall County ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 1269 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th, Donahue, the 31st, Dubnik of the 29th, McCollum of the 30th, Clark of the 100th, and others. Bill be titled an act to provide a new homestead exemption from the city of Gainesville ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 1270 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th, Donahue, the 31st, Dubnik of the 29th, McCollum of the 30th, Clark of the 100th, and others. Bill be titled act to provide a new homestead exemption from Hall County School District ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 1271 by Representative Hawkins, the 27th, Donahue, the 31st, Dubnik of the 29th, McCollum of the 30th, Clark of the 100th, and others. Bill be titled act to provide a new homestead exemption from City of Gainesville Independent School District ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 12.
I promise you I can see both anterooms. They're empty. So members will please take your conversations to the anterooms or out in the hall. Corey, is it empty out there? Plenty of room out front too. So if you need a conversation, please take conversations to a little quieter place. We're not starting at 11 anymore. Y'all figuring this out. Okay, Mr. Clerk, proceed.
House Bill 1272 by Representative Martin of the 49th, Parsons the 44th, Runner of the 85th, and Houston of the 170th. The bill be titled an act to amend Part 4 of Article 2 of Chapter 5 of Title 46 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the emergency telephone number 911 system.
Energy Utilities and Telecommunications.
House Bill 1273 by Representative Werkheiser of the 157th. The bill be titled act to create a Board of Elections and Registration for Evans County.
Intergovernmental Coordination.
House Bill 1274 by Representative Hulston of the 72nd, Fry of the 122nd, Dickey the 145th, Burkle the 169th, Thomas the 65th, and others. Bill be titled act to amend Part 6A of Article 7 of Chapter 3 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to state veterinary education.
Higher Education.
House Bill 1275 by Representative Jaspers of the 11th, Smith of the 18th, Tarvin of the 2nd, Powell of the 33rd, Lott of the 131st, and others. Bill be entitled act to amend Title 28 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to the General Assembly.
Rules.
House Bill 1276 by Representative Cox of the 28th, Rhodes of the 124th, Kelly of the 16th, Cannon of the 172nd, Scoggins of the 14th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Titles 20 and 39 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to education and minors.
Education.
House Bill 1277 by Representative Clark of the 100th, Hitchens of the 161st, Bonner of the 73rd, Barrett of the 24th, Crow of the 118th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Chapter 1 of Title 6 and Chapter 80 of Title 36, Article 2A of Chapter 3 of Title 38, and Part 1 of Article 3 of Chapter 5 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to general provisions relative to aviation.
Public Safety and Homeland Security.
House Bill 1278 by Representative Moore of the 91st, a bill be titled an act to amend Article 3, Chapter 3 of Title 50 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to other state symbols.
Special Rules.
House Resolution 1109 by Representative Perkle, 169th, a resolution honoring the life of Mr. Neil Waldo McIntyre and dedicating a bridge in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1110 by Representative Perkle, 169th, a resolution honoring the life of First Lieutenant Clyde Verdon Moore and dedicating a bridge in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1111 by Representative McLean of the 109th, Okoye of the 102nd, Clark of the 108th, Muggle of the 105th, Park of the 107th, and others. A resolution honoring the life of Mr. Percy Scott Jr. and dedicating a road in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1112 by Representative McLean of the 109th, Okoye of the 102nd, Clark of the 108th, Muggle of the 105th, Park of the 107th, and others. A resolution honoring the life of Mr. Stephen Day and dedicating an interchange in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1113 by Representative Donahue, the 31st, and Green in the 154th. A resolution authorizing the granting of non-exclusive easements for construction, installation, operation, and maintenance.
State properties.
House Resolution 1114 by Representative Maynard, the 56th. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that sales tax for educational purposes may be used and expended.
Education.
House Resolution 1115 by Representative Blackman of the 146th, Crow of the 118th, Leverett of the 123rd. A resolution proposing an amendment to the Constitution so as to provide that qualified low-income building projects may be classified.
Ways and Means.
House Resolution 1116 by Representative Perkle, 169th, Green, and the 154th. A resolution authorizing the lease of certain state-owned property located in Chatham County.
State properties.
House Resolution 1117 by Representative Clark of the 100th, Hong of the 103rd, McCollum of the 30th, Abstration of the 104th, and Muggle of the 105th. A resolution honoring the life of Mr. Logan James Wade, dedicating an intersection in his memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1118 by Representative Cox of the 28th, Jaspers of the 11th, McDonald of the 26th, Jones of the 25th, Barrett of the 24th, and others. A resolution honoring the lives of Christy Jane, Carolyn, Carrie Marie, and Tabitha Renee Lawhorn and dedicating an intersection in their memory.
Transportation.
House Resolution 1133 by Representative Mitchell of the 88th, a resolution urging the United States Congress to pass the Kidney Patient Access to Technology, Innovative and Essential Nephrology Treatment Act of 2023.
Health.
Senate Bill 334 by Senator Albers of the 56th, Robertson of the 29th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Dixon of the 45th, Still of the 48th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 25.3.23, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to minimum requirements.
Insurance.
Senate Bill 340 by Representative Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Albers of the 56th, Hufstetler of the 52nd, Robertson of the 29th, Anna DeVart of the 31st, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Code Section 48.8.3, the official code of Georgia annotated relating to exemptions from sales and use taxes.
Ways and Means.
Senate Bill 389 by Senator Payne of the 54th, Kirkpatrick of the 32nd, Hodges of the 3rd, Albers of the 56th, Hatchett of the 50th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Part 4 of Article 3 of Chapter 2, Title 38 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to rights, privileges, and prohibitions.
Insurance.
Senate Bill 412 by Senator Kennedy of the 18th, Cowser of the 46th, Summers of the 13th, Harbison of the 15th, and Red of the 33rd. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 43 of the official code of Georgia annotated relating to professions and businesses.
Regulated Industries. Mr. Clerk, if you'll suspend. Y'all forget so soon. Now, we're assigning some Senate bills. I get it, but let's show them some respect. These bills have passed the Senate. We want to get them in the proper committees. So I want to make sure I can hear the clerk so we can get them in the proper committee. So if y'all will work with us just a little bit longer, we'll have a couple bills and we can visit all afternoon. Mr. Clerk, continue.
Senate Bill 424 by Senator Robertson of the 29th and Brass of the 28th. A bill be titled an act to create a new judicial circuit for the state of Georgia, be known as the West Georgia Judicial Circuit.
Judiciary,
Senate Bill 426 by Senator Tillery, the 19th, Setzler, the 37th, Burns, the 23rd, Walker, the 20th, Albers, the 56th, and others. Bill be titled an act to amend Title 40 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to motor vehicles and traffic.
Judiciary,
Senate Bill 439 by Senator Estevez of the 6th, Orrock of the 36th, Halpern of the 39th, Perrin of the 42nd, Mulcairn of the 14th, and others. Bill be titled an act to provide a homestead exemption from City of Atlanta Independent School District ad valorem taxes.
Intergovernmental Coordination,
Senate Bill 453 by Senator Payne of the 54th and Huffstetler of the 52nd. The bill be titled an act to transfer probation and intake services to the Juvenile Court of Gordon County to the Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice.
Intergovernmental Coordination,
That completes first readers.
second reading of bills and resolutions. The clerk will read.
House Bill 1229 by Representative Carpenter of the 4th and Tarvin of the 2nd, a bill to provide a new charter for the city of Dalton. House Bill 1230 by Representative Green of the 154th, a bill to amend an act providing a new charter for the city of Edison. House Bill 1231 by Representative Holcomb of the 81st, a bill relating to eligibility requirements for a Hope Scholarship and awards amount. House Bill 1232 by Representative Reeves of the 99th, McCollum of the 30th, Powell of the 33rd, Washburn of the 144th, Tran of the 80th, and others, a bill relating to alcoholic beverages. House Bill 1233 by Representative Hitchens of the 161st, Stevens of the 164th, Petrie of the 166th, Vance of the 133rd, Lumpson of the 12th, a bill relating to local fire departments. House Bill 1234 by Representative Corbett of the 174th, a bill relating to motor vehicles and traffic. House Bill 1235 by Representative Meeks of the 178th, Corbett of the 174th, Smith of the 138th, Burchett of the 176th, and Persinger of the 119th, a bill relating to motor vehicles and traffic. House Bill 1236 by Representative New of the 64th, Alexander of the 66th, Bruce of the 61st, and Thomas of the 65th, a bill to amend an act creating a state court of Douglas County. House Bill 1237 by Representative Cannon of the 172nd, Corbett of the 174th, Dickey of the 145th, Meeks of the 178th, Campbell of the 171st, and others, a bill relating to definitions regarding agricultural commodity commissions. House Bill 1238 by Representative Davis of the 87th, Jackson of the 165th, Burnell of the 77th, Cummings of the 39th, Jones of the 60th, a bill relating to special license plates promoting or supporting certain worthy agencies, funds, or nonprofit corporations. House Bill 1239 by Representative Collins of the 71st, Corbett of the 174th, Rhodes of the 124th, Jaspers of the 11th, Dickey of the 145th, a bill relating to motor vehicles and traffic. House Bill 1240 by Representative Reeves of the 99th, Gunter of the 8th, Leverett of the 123rd, Oliver of the 82nd, Evans of the 57th, and others, a bill relating to the commercial code. House Bill 1241 by Representative Stoner of the 40th, Cummings of the 39th, and Nolowitz of the 42nd, a bill to amend an act creating a new charter for the city of Smyrna. House Bill 1242 by Representative Neal of the 79th, Douglas of the 78th, Bell of the 75th, Hawley of the 116th, Bernal of the 77th, and others, a bill to create the Clayton County Public Facilities Authority. House Bill 1243 by Representative Nolowitz of the 42nd, Stoner of the 40th, Campbell of the 35th, Cummings of the 39th, Williams of the 37th, and others, a bill to amend an act changing the compensation of the clerk of the Superior Court, the sheriff, and the judge of the probate court of Cobb County. House Bill 1244 by Representative Jones of the 25th, Gunter of the 8th, Powell of the 33rd, Wiedauer of the 121st, Hilton of the 48th, and others, a bill relating to civil practice. House Bill 1245 by Representative Cummings of the 39th, Smith of the 18th, Vance of the 133rd, Crow of the 118th, Neal of the 79th, a bill relating to general provisions regarding law enforcement officers and agencies. House Bill 1246 by Representative Anulowitz of the 42nd, Stoner of the 40th, Campbell of the 35th, Cummings of the 39th, Williams of the 37th, and others, a bill to amend an act creating the State Court of Cobb County. House Bill 1247 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, Jones of the 47th, Lim of the 98th, Rhodes of the 124th, Hilton of the 48th, and others, a bill relating to property. House Bill 1248 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, a bill to provide a homestead exemption from Elbert County School District ad valorem taxes for educational purposes. House Bill 1249 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, a bill to provide a homestead exemption from Elbert County ad valorem taxes for county purposes. House Bill 1250 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, a bill to provide a homestead exemption from Elbert County School District ad valorem taxes for educational purposes. House Bill 1251 by Representative Leverett of the 123rd, illustration of the 104th, Burchett of the 176th, Gunter of the 8th, and Smith of the 18th, a bill relating to travel expenses of judges of the Superior Court. House Bill 1252 by Representative Scott of the 76th, Davis of the 87th, Schofield of the 63rd, a bill relating to smoke-free air. House Bill 1253 by Representative Anderson of the 10th, Green of the 154th, Jackson of the 128th, Corbett of the 174th, Houston of the 170th, and others, a bill relating to regional commissions. House Bill 1254 by Representative Draper of the 90th, Hughley of the 141st, Vermont of the 97th, Miller of the 62nd, and Olowitz of the 42nd, and others, a bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 1255 by Representative Jones of the 60th, a bill relating to procedure for preparation and filing of transcript of evidence and proceedings where appellant designates matter to be omitted from the record on appeal, extensions of time for completion of transcript. House Bill 1256 by Representative Park of the 107th, Roberts of the 52nd, Holcomb of the 81st, Clark of the 108th, Hughley of the 141st, a bill relating to elections and primaries. House Bill 1257 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, Stevens of the 164th, Evans of the 57th, and Holcomb of the 81st, a bill relating to the Seed Capital Fund. House Bill 1258 by Representative Kendrick of the 95th, a bill relating to real estate brokers and salespersons. House Bill 1259 by Representative Montana of the 17th, Gullett of the 19th, Cannon of the 172nd, Daniel of the 117th, Hilton of the 48th, and others, a bill relating to registration and use of trademarks and service marks. House Bill 1260 by Representative Gaines of the 120th, Jones of the 47th, Burchett of the 176th, Dickey of the 145th, Smith of the 18th, and others, a bill relating to agriculture. House Bill 1261 by Representative Lumsden of the 12th, Powell of the 33rd, Corbett of the 174th, Prince of the 132nd, a bill relating to motor vehicles and traffic and property. House Resolution 1084 by Representative Rhodes of the 124th and Corbett of the 174th, a resolution honoring the life of Mr. Clarence Lee Mutt Rhodes, Jr. and dedicating an interchange in his memory. House Resolution 1085 by Representative Perkle of the 169th and Green of the 154th, a resolution authorizing the granting of non-exclusive easements for the construction, installation, operation, and maintenance of facilities. Through second readers.
Reports of standing committees. Mr. Clerk, will you read?
Representative Robert Dickey, the 145th District Chairman on Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Agriculture and Consumer Affairs has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 149 do pass. House Bill 1093 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Robert Dickey of the 145th District Chairman. Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District Chairman of the Committee on Higher Education submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Higher Education has had under its consideration the following bill of the House. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendation. House Bill 1124 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Chuck Martin of the 49th District Chairman. Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District Chairman on Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Local submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals had under its consideration the following bills of the House and Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Intergovernmental Coordination Locals had under its consideration the following bills of the House and Senate. Has instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1189 do pass. House Bill 1217 do pass. Senate Bill 339 do pass. Senate Bill 382 do pass. Senate Bill 397 do pass. Senate Bill 434 do pass. Senate Bill 388 do pass by substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Beth Camp of the 135th District Chairman. Representative Gunner of the 8th District Chairman on Committee on Judiciary submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Judiciary has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 628 to pass by committee substitute. House Bill 896 to pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1203 to pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Gunner of the 8th District Chairman. Representative Jay Collins, of the 71st District Chairman on Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Public Safety and Homeland Security has had under its consideration the following bills of the House and instructed me to report the same back to the House with the following recommendations. House Bill 1117 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 1188 do pass. Respectfully submitted, Representative Jay Collins, the 71st District Chairman. Representative Carson, the 46th District Chairman on Committee on Retirement, submitted the following report. Mr. Speaker, your Committee on Retirement has had under its consideration the following bills of the House. Instructed me to report same back to the House. The following recommendation: House Bill 472 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 643 do pass by committee substitute. House Bill 825 do pass by committee substitute. Respectfully submitted, Representative Carson, the 46th District. Chairman. That completes the reading of the reports of standing committees.
Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. We do have a local calendar today. One bill on that calendar relates to homestead exemption and requires a recorded 2/3 roll call vote for passage. Third reading and passage of uncontested local bills. If there is no objection, we will vote on the local calendar as a whole with a recorded vote. Mr. Clerk, will you read the local calendar?
House Bill 1189 by Representative Taylor, the 173rd City of Barwick. House Bill 1217 by Representative Neal of the 79th Clayton County. Senate Bill 339 by Senator Summers of the 13th Crisp County. Senate Bill 3...
Proceed, Mr. Clerk.
Senate Bill 382 by Senator Gooch of the 51st Gilmer County. Senate Bill 397 by Senator Williams of the 25th City of Locust Grove. Senate Bill 434 by Senator Burns of the 23rd Glasgow County. Senate Bill 388 by substitute by Senator Kirkpatrick of the 32nd Cherokee County.
Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered on the local calendar? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bills? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall these bills now pass? All those in favor of the passage of the bills on the local calendar will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And Mr. Clerk, will you unlock the machines? Have all members voted? All members voted. Slow down, Shay. I got you. All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machines. On the local calendar, the yeas are 166, the nays are 0. These bills, having received the requisite constitutional majority, are therefore passed. For what purposes, Chair Lady Camp rise? Let's hold it just for a minute. I keep looking at that board and it's got a 1 beside that too, and I think it's day 1 Y'all so excited to see each other. But this is day 21. So let's keep it down to a low roar, if you don't mind. For what purpose does Chair Lady Camp rise?
To make a motion.
State your motion.
Make a motion to immediately transmit the local calendar to the Senate.
Chair Lady Camp moves that the local calendar be immediately transmitted to the Senate. Is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. We have 98 morning orders, maybe 99, and we have 10 minutes to get them all in. This is going to be exciting. How many? Okay, members, y'all heard the chaplain's message this morning. So we have 17 morning orders. And we have a lot of great people in the gallery. And I appreciate every one of y'all being here. So if y'all will comply with 1 minute or less, we'll hear from all 17 of you. If you can't, you're going to detract from your neighbor's time. So with that, we're going to recognize Representative Al and the AAPI caucus. They're going to talk about a new year here. Representative and your friends, please come to the well. Representative Al. Recognized for a morning order. Please give the group in the well your attention, members.
The AAPI caucus would like to invite everyone to Lunar New Year Day at the Capitol today. There is going to be a series of events starting at noon for community recognitions, a lunch in room 216, and a traditional lion dance at 3 p.m. at the South Steps. Everyone is invited. Please text everyone you know to come. We also want to acknowledge that today is Asian American Advocacy Day at the Capitol, so we have some members up in the gallery here who are here advocating on behalf of the Asian American Pacific Islander community. Thank you all. Welcome to the People's House. Woo!
Thank you, Representative, and welcome to the People's House. Good to have y'all. Chairman Green is recognized for a morning order. And yes, sir, and Co-Chair Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker and members of the Georgia House of Representatives, Georgia has been proclaimed, has proclaimed the week of February here as Senior Week. And this is a very special day, Mr. Speaker, for the members in the gallery. And I'm going to ask them to stand because the Georgia Council of Aging is happy to welcome more than 300 seniors and caregivers and aging advocates from across the state to their state capital today. Each year, our seniors come to visit, and we'd like to thank them for what they have contributed and continue to contribute to the vitality of our state. Up in the gallery, there should be a lot of these green scarves. Say hello to them today because they are your constituents and Georgia's greatest resource. Thank you for honoring us with your presence today. Enjoy your visit.
Thank you. Welcome, seniors. Get a lot done today. We're glad to have y'all. Thanks for being here. Representative Frazier, Representative Campbell, Representative Glaze, Representative Bazemore recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, up in the gallery, and I hope they are still here, we have ladies that are dressed in blue. We have the Georgia Federation of Democratic Women, the official women group of the Democratic Party of the state of Georgia. Our board director, Ms. June Christ, if you are there, please stand. Any members that are in the gallery, please stand. A lot of them went to the Senate. We have our board members that are also here today. We have Chandler Wright and Ms. Carletta Harrell, who are the co-chairs of the Georgia Federation of Democratic Women, and I'd just like to do a special shout out to my president, Ms. Betty Reese, from the Augusta CSRA area. Let's give them a hand and please welcome them. Can you see them out in the hallway? The ladies dressed in blue. Thank you. Well, we had another 30 seconds, didn't we? We had another 30 seconds. Just want to acknowledge the proclamation, the resolution. One second.
And a follow-on to that, we're recognizing a resolution today recognizing February 15th as Georgia Federation of Democratic Women in Blue Day, and welcome all women in blue here to the People's House. Thank you so much for all the work you do across the state, advancing the rights and the priorities for all Georgia families. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Representative Gaines, recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're honored today that it's Family and Consumer Sciences Day at the Capitol, and we're honored to have several folks from the University of Georgia Family and Consumer Sciences School, as well as across the state, Fort Valley State University as well. I'll read their names briefly. Dr. Allison Penn, Dr. Sherry Worthy, Kenna Torbert, Carla Buckholtz, Kristen Hankins, Olivia Morrison, DJ Youngblood, again from across the state with the Family and Consumer Sciences. Would y'all please stand up in the gallery and be recognized? Thank y'all so much. Thanks for being here. And go Dogs.
Thank you, UGA. We're glad to have y'all. Representative Chastain. Representative Johnny Chastain is recognized to talk about home folks.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, everyone.
Gentlemen will suspend, please. Y'all know I drive a long ways to get up here. And I expect a little respect when I drive up and bring my friends with me. I hope y'all will realize that these folks in the gallery made an effort to be here today. So if you want to have a conversation in this chamber, take it to the ante room right now, or we're going to stay here till y'all can settle down.
Good.
Give them a chance to get to the ante room. We want to be fair. Representative Chastain.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today to recognize 30 Fannin County High School students with us here this morning. The principal, Dr. Scott Ramsey, teachers Brittany and Justin Stennett, Jordan Deal, Dawn Heaton, and one of the best school resource officers in the state, my brother-in-law, Anthony Walden. Would y'all stand up and be recognized this morning? Yes, thank you.
Fannin County, I think this Blue Ridge, Georgia. Good to have y'all. Thanks for being here. Chairman Tyler Paul Smith is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We took a little time off from defending the state line against Alabama, and we have with us the Carrollton Middle School Trojan athletes with us this morning, as well as the Haralson County FCCLA. If members would help me in welcoming them to the People's House. Thank you all for being with us.
Absolutely. It was all downhill, but we're glad to have y'all. Safe trip home. Representative Ken Vance is recognized for a morning order. Representative Vance.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know these people were here earlier, but they may be gone now, but I would like to recognize the Air Evac unit from Millersville, Georgia, the paramedics and pilots, the emergency transport that they have. You could see the helicopter landing out there this morning. Their expertise and prompt response helped save the life of a former House member, now Senator. Please, I know they're not here, but would you please rise and give these people, these very professional people, a round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for that recognition for these folks, good folks. Representative Collier is recognized for a morning order. You bringing some friends with you? Yes. Okay.
The senator wants to join us.
And we also have, I'll recognize her. She will,
All right.
won't come up front, but Senator James is here as well, so we appreciate having her.
All right. Good morning, colleagues, and thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am here this morning to recognize with a resolution the best Consul General of Nigeria to Georgia. She has control of 17 states from the southeast to the west as far as California. She's here with us today. Dr. Amina Smaila, Her Excellency, please come forward to be recognized. Thank you. And the rest of the consular staff that's in the gallery, please stand to be recognized. And the Consul Generals to win Sister Almost, Asma. Yes, thank you so much. Pictures in the anteroom. Thank you.
Welcome to the People's House. Chair Lady Silcox is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to welcome this morning Leadership Perimeter, which has members from Sandy Springs and Dunwoody. And just welcome to the People's House. Hope you have a great day today. And if you're still in the gallery, please rise for us to applaud your presence. Oh, they're gone? Well, thanks for coming. We appreciate you.
Representative Bennett is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and good morning, colleagues. Today, it is my honor to recognize some distinguished women from House District 94 and their leadership in the community. We have with us this morning Ms. Amaryllis Alexander, Ms. Vanola Mason, Ms. Bianca McMickens, Ms. Caroline Fulfer, and Ms. Josephine Handy. Won't you stand to be recognized? And colleagues, won't you join me in recognizing and thanking these women for the great work that they do in House District 94. Thank you.
Welcome to the People's House. Representative Mathis, recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members of the House. I would like to introduce a group from my hometown, but before I do, I want to welcome all you seniors, and I hope I live long enough to be a member of you. So I just want to point that out.
About the next 30 seconds, so you'll be there.
But I'm here to recognize the Blaken County FCCLA, and we have Advisor Cheryl Parks and their group. If you're still, if y'all will stand, we'd like to welcome y'all, and thank you for coming. Appreciate you.
Thank y'all for being here. We appreciate y'all making the effort. Hope you've had a good morning. Representative Derek Jackson and Representative Reese. There's Representative Jackson right there. Gentlemen are recognized.
Indeed, Mr. Speaker, it was a marvelous day, an ice cold day, December the 4th, 1906, on the campus of Ithaca, Cornell University, Ithaca, New York. The boldest, the oldest, and the best fraternity in the world was created, and that is Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And today, we welcome the men of Alpha Phi Alpha from around the state of Georgia to the state capitol. Gentlemen, if you will, please stand, rise to your feet.
And also, Mr. Speaker, a special recognition to our immediate past District Director, Brother Sherman Lofton, and our current District Director, Brother James Ford. Thank you, brothers. And Mr. Speaker, since my wife is here, I got double duty. The League of Women Voters, if you are all in the gallery, I see, there we go. League of Women Voters. Thank you for being here, League of Women Voters. Thank you so much. I love you, Camille.
Welcome to the People's House. The oldest and the boldest. Is that what you said, Representative Reese? Welcome, gentlemen. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the People's House. Chair Lady Lynn Smith is recognized for a morning order.
The Coweta delegation would be joining me too. So, Mr. Speaker, you say welcome to the People's House, and I agree with that, but I think it's also the home for our students, for them to learn and see what we're doing, and they're over there to my right, your left. If y'all will please stand so we can recognize you. These students are from Northside Elementary School, and I've been honored to teach them and talk to them for several years, so welcome.
Thank you. Good to have y'all. Chair Lady Ballinger recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have some folks visiting here in the Capitol, and I don't think they've made it back over from the depot yet, but today is CASA Day at the Capitol. These court-appointed special advocates speak out for the children who've been through our juvenile system. Either they've been physically or sexually abused in some way, they've been neglected, and these are very important folks that speak up for them and give them a voice in juvenile court. So if they are all out in the gallery, if they're in the gallery, if they're outside, let's all just give them a warm round of applause and recognize their hard work. Thank you.
Thanks, CASA. We appreciate what y'all do. Representative Park Cannon. Representative Park Cannon. Thought I saw her a moment ago. Okay, we'll see if we can locate Representative Park Cannon. Representative Townsend is recognized for a morning order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. February 11th, 2006, I joined an esteemed group in the gallery today. I became a kidney donor. I donated a kidney to my daughter. It's the gift of life, something you can do. Please look at your license, see if you're a donor, an organ tissue donor. It is Capital Day for donations today, Transplant Day. We want to welcome, where's our crowd at? Please stand up. Let's give them a round of applause for Organ and Tissue Day at the Capitol. These are either organ donors or organ recipients. We appreciate what you've done, and we appreciate your support here in the House. Thank you.
That completes our morning orders. We'll move on to the rules calendar. Move on to the rules calendar, members. If we have your attention, we'll begin with the clerk reading the caption to House Resolution 449. Mr. Clerk.
House Resolution 449 by Representative Cooper, the 45th, a resolution designating Hypertrophic Cardiomyopathy Awareness Day. This resolution having been referred to the Committee on Public Health, that committee recommends that this resolution be adopted.
Chair Lady Cooper is recognized to speak to the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen of the House, I'm bringing you House Resolution 449, and it would designate Hypertrophic Cardiomyopathy Awareness Day on the fourth Wednesday of the month of February every year is what we're asking the governor to do. It's really important people learn about this disease. It's, to make it simple and cut out that big word, it's a thickening of the heart muscle. It's the most inheritable cardiac disease. And although there's almost 1 million people diagnosed in the country, 85% goes undiagnosed. And it is also 3 to 5 times more lethal than other cardiac diseases. So it simply asks the governor to make this a special day on the 4th to make people in Georgia aware of this hidden disease that goes undiagnosed. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I will yield the well and ask for your favorable vote. Thank you.
Lady has yielded the will. She had no questions. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the resolution? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this resolution now be adopted? All in favor of the adoption of the resolution will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no. And the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine on the adoption of House Resolution 449. The yeas are 160, the nays are 0. The resolution, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore adopted. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 53.
House Bill 53 by Representative Corbett of the 174th and others to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 1 of Chapter 6 entitled 12 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to practice of professional forestry so as to provide that the State Board of Registration for Foresters is an independent state agency attached to the State Forestry Commission. This bill having referred to the Committee on Natural Resources and Environment, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Corbett is recognized to present the bill. Chairman Corbett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I'll bring before you House Bill 53, LC 510333S. I'm sorry, LC 442677S. Mr. Speaker, what we're doing with this bill, we're moving the State Board of Registrations of Foresters from the Secretary of State's office to the Forestry Commission. The director of the Forestry Commission has a letter. He's in full support of this. The Senate had a study committee over the summer on occupational licenses. This was one of their recommendations. Well, I don't put a whole lot of stock in anything the Senate does, but I think they got this one right. The constituents of this state will be better served by the board being moved to the Forestry Commission. You know, the Forestry Commission, they have a location in every county. They have a personal relationship with the citizens of the counties. They know the area, and then many times the Secretary of State, when there's a claim of timber theft, they have to call in the Forestry Commission anyway to do an investigation because they have an investigative arm, a unit within the Forestry Commission. So by moving this, it's going to make for more efficient government. This was unanimous out of the Natural Resources Committee. And then I had one question in rules and had to do with the cost. And if you look on line 64, that's covered. They're setting a fee at $200 for a biennial registration. We've got somewhere between 900 and 1,000 registered forestries. This will generate anywhere from $180,000 to $200,000, and the Forestry Commission estimates it costs about $90,000 a year to do this, so the cost will be covered in those fees. So that's what we're doing. If there's no questions, I would appreciate your favorable consideration.
You have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield well.
Gentleman yielded the will, and he's told us how he feels about the Senate. That was a pretty complete deal. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 53, the yeas are 164, the nays are 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 282?
House Bill 282 by Resident Maynard, the 56th and others to be entitled an act to amend Part 2 of Article 6 of Chapter 2 of Title 20 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to competencies and core curriculum under the Quality Basic Education Act so as to provide for a minimum course of study in career readiness education. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Industry and Labor, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Representative Maynard is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to make this the shortest presentation ever. House Bill 282, it's a really simple bill. The soft skills training that people are already doing in the school system, 6th grade through 12th grade, is being provided. But right now you have to go through red tape. School systems must go through red tape to have access to the curriculum. This simply removes the red tape, and any school district within the state of Georgia can now use this free soft skills career readiness curriculum training in their school. And I'll yield for questions.
Lady, yield for a question.
One question, Mr. Speaker.
One question. Majority Leader right in front of you, Leader F. Stration, has a question.
Zalea yield.
Yes.
Representative Maynard, is it not true that in job postings, soft skills are requested 4 times more than hard skills, and that 93% of employers deem soft skills as either essential or very important?
You are absolutely right, and thank you for that question, because I would be remiss in not mentioning that the Georgia Chamber supports this workforce development bill. The Atlanta Metro Chamber supports this workforce development bill. Right now we have children that are entering into the workforce, but unfortunately they do not have the soft skills needed to perform their jobs more efficiently. Thank you, and I yield the will.
Lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? Chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine On the passage of House Bill 282, the yeas are 165, the nays are 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 409?
House Bill 409 by Representative Daniel of the 117th and others, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 80 and Title 36 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to general provisions applicable to county, municipalities, and municipal corporations and other governmental entities, so as to authorize local authorities to dispose of real property in the same manner as county governing authorities. This bill having referred to the Committee on Governmental Affairs, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Representative Lauren Daniels recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I rise today to present House Bill 409. This was actually brought to me by a local municipal attorney, and I represent Henry County, which is a very large county to be. And one of the things that we are running into is there are authorities that are antiquated in nature all over the state, and how they get rid of real property in terms of easement. So water authorities, sewer authorities have to garner easements on personal property, and in order to get rid of them, they do appraisals. But the reason this bill is important is because oftentimes the appraisal ends up costing a county, their taxpayers, more than what the piece of property itself is worth. And so this is an effort to help taxpayers, homeowners, kind of put all this out in the open for, since there is a current gap. So this is going to provide public record keeping, encourage that, and attempt to streamline and modernize the process. It was favorably reported out of committee. It's kind of a simple bill, if you will, and I ask for your favorable consideration if there are no questions.
You have no questions.
Thank you.
The lady has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee's substitute? Chair hears none. The committee's substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of the bill, the yeas are, passage of House Bill 409, the yeas are 164, the nays are 2. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 912?
House Bill 912 by Representative Anderson of the 10th and others, to be entitled an act to amend Code Section 41(1) of the Official Code of Georgia annotated, relating to definitions relative to motor vehicles and traffic, so as to revise the definition of multi-purpose off-highway vehicle. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Ways and Means, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Representative Victor Anderson is recognized to present House Bill 912. Representative Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, House Bill 912 provides for the exclusion of multi-purpose off-highway vehicles as was defined in House Bill 121 last year from personal property ad valorem tax. These vehicles are currently taxed at the time of sale through sales tax, and as we were working through the rules with the Department of Revenue, it was suggested to clarify the legislative intent of House Bill 121 that we pursue exemption from ad valorem tax for these vehicles. Mr. Speaker, I would yield for any questions.
The gentleman has no questions.
Thank you, and I ask for your favorable consideration.
The gentleman has yielded the well. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 912, the yeas are 168, the nays are 0. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. Members, we're going on to the supplemental rules calendar. In its wisdom, the Rules Committee has limited the debate on House Bill 947, and so we will abide by those time limits. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 947?
House Bill 947 by Representative Lever to the 123rd and others to be entitled an act to amend Article 1 of Chapter 6 and Title 15 of the Official Code of Georgia annotated relating to general provisions concerning superior courts so as to modify provisions regarding the compensation received by superior court judges. This bill having referred to the Committee on Judiciary, that committee recommends that this bill do pass by committee substitute.
Chairman Leverett, you ready? Chairman Leverett is recognized to present the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. I'm pleased to present to you House Bill 947, a bill that will make some long overdue reforms to the structure of compensation to our state's appellate and superior court judges. The bill restructures compensation for state-paid judges. That is, state-paid judges, judges of the Georgia Supreme Court, the Georgia Court of Appeals, the statewide business court, and our state's superior courts, which are the courts of general trial jurisdiction throughout the state. It does not go beyond these categories because these are only judges that are technically state employees. Other judges are paid primarily by counties. I think one important point to clarify about this bill: it does not raise or change the amount of salaries, and it does not appropriate any money. We are not interfering with Chairman Hatchett's jurisdiction in any way. We still leave the appropriations process every year to run its course. And as a matter of fact, as I will mention in a minute, we're actually removing from code a numeric dollar amount and a dollar symbol that is associated with the pay for these judges. So I would argue that this bill is giving us more discretion in the manner in which we pay these state-paid judges. The bill proposes to change the legal structure of judicial compensation in Georgia and provide for some procedures for current judges to opt in to the new system. The goal is to move toward a system in which pay is more uniform across the state and not riddled with anomalies and inconsistencies, as a 2016 study found. Now, as most of you know, the state is divided into judicial circuits. Most consist of multiple counties, like where I am in the Northern Circuit. But some are single county, like Fulton and the recent Columbia Circuit we created. Currently, Superior Court judges have two sources of compensation: the state, because they are state employees after all, and the counties of the circuits in which they serve. Many counties provide supplements to their judges, and the amounts vary pretty widely across the state. That has led to great disparities in judicial pay across the state, not just among Superior Court judges, but pay is upside down so that in some cases, judges with greater jurisdiction and responsibility, our appellate court judges, are paid less than judges with more limited jurisdiction in the Superior Court. This has, in my opinion, led to a great undervaluing of our appellate and Superior Court judges. We currently rank 32nd in what we pay the Supreme Court, 23rd in what we pay our Court of Appeals judges, and the Superior Court, because of the supplement system, varies widely. The pay of Superior Court judges varies from 45th in the country to 5th, depending upon where you sit. And the state-funded portion of Superior Court pay, despite some statements I've heard made to me, ranks 49th in the country, 49th. We're ahead of only West Virginia. And with all due respect to Representative Drenner, I love West Virginia, but you know, I especially love them because at least they keep them out of the absolute basement in that category. So we strive to structure the circuits. As you know, and if you've ever been involved in the addition of a new judgeship in your circuit, we strive to structure the circuits so that the caseload is basically the same for any judge, no matter where he sits down in Lowndes County or if he sits in Cobb or Fulton County. So the caseloads are supposed to be roughly even. And as a result, I would submit to you that there's not currently any valid reason for allowing such a wide disparity in pay of our state Superior Court judges. To put it plainly, there's no reason that a judge out in a rural area should make so much less than a judge in an urban area. Conversely, it shouldn't apply the other way either. There should be a more uniform pay system throughout our state. And this bill seeks to do that. It doesn't eliminate county participation in the salaries and compensation of judges, but it tries to limit it so the disparities aren't so significant. The bill creates a base rate salary for the state's portion of the salaries of state-paid judges, and it establishes a maximum salary concept that is tied to compensation for judges of the United States District Court for the Northern District up here. This structure allows the General Assembly to adjust the state portion of the salary every year in our discretion. It does not set an amount of salary. Again, I repeat, it does not appropriate or set the salary. I would argue we currently do that in code. That one of the code sections that's revised in this bill has a dollar amount of salary for judges of these categories. We're proposing to strike that from code. The bill also doesn't prohibit the local supplements, but going forward will limit them to 10% of whatever the state pay is. And we change the name of it. We call it locality pay to make sure no one gets confused and they understand it's different and it's limited. The bill also provides opting in and grandfathering provisions for sitting judges at the time of passage, because some judges actually would see their pay go down under this system. And so we give them that option. But as judges are replaced or retire, the new judges would all be in the new system. I think to make the point about what the bill does, if you look at Section 4, which begins on page 6, it changes Code Section 4574. That's the statute that sets out dollar amounts for various statewide positions, such as governor, lieutenant governor, and ultimately our state's appellate court judges, judge of the statewide business court, and the superior court judges. On lines 166 to 169 on page 7, we strike the dollar amounts of those salaries of the justices of the Supreme Court, judges of the Court of Appeals, the statewide business court, and the superior courts. And we replace that on pages 13 and 14 with a maximum. Not a set salary, but a maximum expressed as a percentage of the U.S. District Court pay. And the base amount is not even the current year's salary. It's salary from 2 years ago. That's to allow for more planning when we come to our appropriations, so we'll know in advance what the max is. But it doesn't mandate that we appropriate that. So the percentages are also structured to avoid this sort of upside-down process where some of our state's appellate court judges are paid less. The Georgia Supreme Court, the max, not the mandated salary, but the max would be 100% of that base amount. Court of Appeals would be 95, statewide business court 92, and superior court would be 90%. So again, we're not setting a salary amount, we're setting a maximum. We still have to appropriate. If you look at lines 329 to 332, it retains for us our discretion. The salary shall be set by the General Assembly in the General Appropriations Act. We just can't exceed that maximum. So I think although sometimes the expressions of affection for our judicial system in this room are somewhat surprising, they do know we're pretty covetous old sinners when it comes to our power and authority to appropriate money. That's as Tom McCall used to say, that's the only thing we absolutely have to do is pass a balanced budget. So this doesn't interfere with that in any way, and I would argue it actually eliminates some of the limitation of that discretion that is currently in the law. And as I said, it's not the current salary. So if we were to fund salaries at the maximums, which I don't believe is contemplated this year or in the short term, it would put us toward the top, but we would not be at the absolute top. Supreme Court would be about 15th in the country, Court of Appeals would be 12th, and the Superior Court pay would rank 14th. So I don't believe we are being overly generous to our state's judges, even if we were to appropriate at the maximum. But again, we are not obligated to do that in this bill. It does not set an amount of pay. And the amounts that are proposed as maxes don't even keep up with the rate of inflation over the last 20 years. Judicial pay has actually gone down substantially in terms of real dollars. From some of the comments I've received from some of you, that is certainly not the perception, but that is the reality. And in Section 1, the bill sets out administrative provisions allowing judges to opt into the new system, and which would be the amount set by the General Assembly plus the locality pay, or stay in the current system, which is again a General Assembly appropriated amount plus the supplement. If a judge doesn't opt in, they would stay under the current system. And again, some judges probably will stay under the current system because their pay is a little better right now. But as they retire and are replaced, the judges would be in the new system. And there's another provision that has to do with the final section deals with the connections between judicial pay and other local officials. There are a number of local officials throughout the state who by ordinance or local act have their salary tied to Superior Court pay. This bill would suspend that tie for 1 year. So basically the pay would stay the same for those officials, and it would stay that suspension would stay in effect for 1 year, so that if the counties wanted to make changes, they could do that through the process of passing local acts next year. If they don't desire to, they don't have to. It would resume. So for judges, after a year, the tie is resumed. For other local officials, they have to actually take some affirmative act to reconnect it. So that is in a nutshell what the bill does. I look forward to your favorable support of House Bill 947. And Mr. Speaker, I'll yield the well for questions.
You have a couple of questions, gentlemen. Yield. So we have a question. Recognize Representative Al Williams to your left, House District 168. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Is it not true that the salaries paid to many rural judges in many circuits way below what they could earn in a small private practice?
That's true, yes, sir.
Is it not true that justice should not only be blind, but it should also be locally neutral? You should be able to get the same caliber of judge and not lose good people because of the pay. Is that not true?
Yes, sir.
Is it not also so that because of that reason and the desire to have justice, payment to justice is equalized, that I support this bill?
Thank you very much.
Gentleman, yield for
Yes,
another
sir.
question. Representative Bernal is recognized for a question to your left.
Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, ma'am.
I know you explained about those judges that are tied, because our probate judge is tied to our Superior Court. Could you make that a little bit clearer, because I'm not really sure how she will fit in?
Well, for a judge, the tie is suspended, so that the probate judge's salary would stay the same up until next year, or, as the bill is currently drafted. And then after a year, the tie would go into effect at whatever the Superior Court judge's salary is at that time, unless the county asks you to file a bill next year to make some changes to that. And the idea there is that counties can see what we appropriate and make adjustments before the pay would change because of any changes we make in judicial pay as a result of this bill.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay, gentleman, has a little bit to do with the appropriations process to your right. Chairman of Appropriations, Matt Hatchett, has a question. Representative Hatchett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Isn't it true that I am not an attorney and I don't get paid for the time that it takes for me to talk about something and explain something, say like to a jury of your peers?
I'm sure that's a source of great pride to your mother, yes, sir.
So I would like to, isn't it true that I would like to summarize this bill as this is simply a guideline to follow and that this chamber still holds the purse strings?
Absolutely. I would say it's not even a guideline, it's a ceiling that we can't exceed. It doesn't mandate any floor. But thank you for the question.
Mr. Chairman, you have two more questions if you would yield.
I would yield, yes, sir.
Representative Holly to your left in the back. Representative Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentleman yield?
Yes, sir.
Is it not true that I wholeheartedly support this bill while in recognition that our judges, for them to get paid 49th lowest in the entire country, it almost puts them on par with the regular Georgia citizen whose workers' compensation remains the lowest and has the lowest minimum wage, $5.15 an hour and $2.15 plus tips if they wait tables. That literally we're putting our judges on a scale of being the lowest in the country, and if it needs to change for the judge, we can possibly do that for individual people. Would you agree?
Well, I agree with part of your statement, yes, sir. The part in which you said you supported my bill, I thank you very much and wholeheartedly support that.
The gentleman has no further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I would ask your favorable consideration of this bill. I believe we need it as a state, and it's time to reform and clean up the way in which we pay our state judges so it makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation and answering the questions. We have several opportunities for speakers on the bill. We have no one signed up, and I would welcome the chairman of the committee from which this came, but he hasn't indicated he would like to speak. I don't think he could improve on that presentation or the answers. So We'll move on. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? Chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to adopting the committee substitute? The chair hears none. The committee substitute is adopted. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? The chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? Have all members voted? If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 947, the yeas are 154, the nays are 13. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. We have a bill we'll take up that was carried over from Tuesday, I believe. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to House Bill 1010?
House Bill 1010 by Representative Jones, the 47th, and others, to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 20, Title 45 of the Official Code of Georgia Annotated relating to personnel administration relative to public officers and employees, so as to increase the number of hours permitted for paid parental leave. This bill having been referred to the Committee on Public and Community Health, that committee recommends that this bill do pass.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. The Speaker Pro Tem of this House, Pro Tem Jan Jones, is recognized to present the bill. Madam Pro Tem.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So House Bill 1010 changes the current parental leave policy for state employees only from 3 weeks to 6 weeks, enhancing a low-cost, high-value benefit to encourage, support, recruit, and retain valued employees. So first I'll give a little background. Those of you who are here remember Speaker Ralston asked Majority Vice Chair Houston Gaines to carry a similar bill in 2021 to change the policy from 0 weeks to 3 weeks of paid parental leave. Now, state employees include 170,000 teachers, 822 state patrol officers, DFACS workers, 6,600 corrections officers, and others, and they would all be covered. 2/3 of Georgia state employees are female. Georgia is the largest employer within the state, and we compete primarily with medium and larger employers for a workforce that is primarily skilled or educated. And most of us realize workforce participation is down, and particularly from women, and in not small part due to inflated higher child care costs that we have today. And if Georgia's to be successful in hiring skilled and educated, in particular employees, which are most of the state jobs, then we have to offer not only a competitive salary, which is helped by the raises that Governor Kemp has championed, including the $2,500 for teachers this year and a 4% for other state employees up to $3,000, then we've got to also offer the benefits that in today's society, and particularly among millennials and younger, in which most couples, the woman also works, this isn't back the 50s anymore, then we have to offer benefits that they value. I might note that Tennessee and South Carolina recently went to 6 weeks of parental leave, and we do compete with them on the borders. I will also mention that federal law stemming back to 1993 called the Family and Medical Leave Act guarantees 12 weeks of unpaid leave for family or medical reasons. President Trump, on his own, he implemented 12 weeks of paid leave for federal employees on the birth or adoption of a child, and I'm certainly not trying to match that, but to come up with a reasonable improvement in what we offer. So I'll just share a few particulars about current law or how this bill will operate. It pertains to state employees for the birth or adoption of a child. It must be taken within 12 months of the birth or adoption. That's in current law. That allows a parent with an infant that needs a minor procedure or might develop a problem with nursing to take a couple of the 6 weeks. It's kind of hard to imagine someone not taking all 6 weeks at once and just having to take leave for the other. But they must have been employed for at least 6 continuous months full-time. Now, one person mentioned that why don't they just take short-term disability? So the state offers to all state employees that are not teachers short-term disability, and you can pay so much a month. You have to take a break from either 7 days or 30 days, depending on which policy you purchase, before it kicks in, and then it kicks in at 60% of your salary. It would only be eligible for a birth mother, not for a father or an adoptive parent. I mentioned the teachers separately because those policies are offered by local school systems, and only 11 school systems in the state offer the option of paying for short-term disability. So all the rest of the school systems, those teachers and employees do not have that option. Now, I might note that very few birth mothers in particular are returning to work after 3 weeks. So school systems in particular are already paying for a substitute teacher because I would challenge anyone to find a daycare center that will accept a child before 6 or 8 weeks because of the legal liability and the health risk to such a small infant. If a child in that range comes down with a fever, they're hospitalized. This happened to one of my children, and they have to have a spinal tap and numerous very intrusive procedures to make sure that they don't have bacterial meningitis or another serious disease that might not be that serious to an older child. You have time to remedy it with medicine, but not with such a young child. But so school systems in particular are already paying for a substitute, so there's no additional cost there. I've worked with Christine Murdoch, who's head of our budget. She said agencies, directors, school systems don't budget for this because the cost to them is de minimis. I have all of the school systems and how many people took the parental leave since we implemented the 3 weeks, and it's actually a very few people, but it's a very high value benefit to them. Most women in particular, most of the time, most of their career, they're not having children or adopting children. But when they do, let me tell you, it matters a lot to them. So most of them are taking, they save up if they have it available, and if another child hadn't been sick or they've been sick, they save up their sick leave, which of course is generally intended for people who are sick. We don't want them coming into work sick, or their vacation time, or they take unpaid leave for whatever time they want. Now, just remember what you're asking, let's say a female to do who just had a baby. If she takes unpaid leave, or an adoptive father, you're asking them to, when they take unpaid leave, they come off the state health benefit plan. And then they have to pay both sides of the state health benefit plan in addition to giving up their salary. frankly, a very stressful time. But, so in summary, I just want to ask for your favorable consideration for House Bill 1010 to extend paid parental leave from 3 weeks to 6 weeks for state employees to provide a low-cost, high-value benefit to help recruit and retain employees and tangibly demonstrate our respect and support for them at a most significant and life-changing event in their life. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Ladies willing to answer a question or two, so here we go. Representative Frazier to your left, in the back of the room on your left, has a question. Representative Frazier is recognized.
Thank you. Does the lady yield?
Yes, I do.
I'd just like to know, how does this relate to parents that have children with pre-existing diseases? For example, sickle cell, and they actually have crises maybe once a week, and they might have to be off work for a week until that child passes that crisis, and then they might have another crisis next month. So will they be able to use this leave for that purpose?
I'm sympathetic to the situation that you're bringing up, but this only pertains to the birth or adoption of a child. It's paid parental leave. We did pass, and I know members of both parties worked on legislation earlier that allows, excuse me, for 5 paid leave days for situations such as you're describing. But that is not addressed in this bill.
Does the lady further yield?
Yes, I do.
But what if this parent had a baby that was sickle?
That was what?
Had sickle cell, that was born with
Right.
sickle cell.
Right. So if a child born with a heart defect or sickle cell or other really unfortunate problems, this would not pertain for that specifically, except for they would get up to 6 weeks of paid leave on the birth or the adoption of that child.
Thank you.
Representative Townsend to your right has a question. The gentleman's recognized.
Does a good lady
Rick
yield?
Townsend.
Yes, I do.
Is it not true, Madam Speaker Pro Tem, that this is also a workforce development issue? This does help in the hiring process where we could match benefits from the local industry, and this is a good thing for education and keeping our teachers employed and retained in our local school systems.
Well, yes, it does, and I appreciate that question coming from a former and retired school superintendent.
Representative Lisa Campbell to your left has a question. The lady is recognized for a question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Does the gentlewoman yield?
Yes, I do.
Is it not true that this is a very positive bill that I wholeheartedly support? Because if women in Georgia participated in the labor force at the same rate as women in countries with paid leave, there would be an estimated 174,000 additional workers in the state and 5.6 billion more wages earned statewide, and that programs like this, paid leave, improve employee retention, as you have previously shared?
Well, I'm sure the lady knows that of which she speaks, and you have the facts and figures. Well, I appreciate the discussion, and with that, Mr. Speaker, I'm going to realize we're getting late for lunch, and I'm going to yield the well. But I do ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you.
Madam Pro Tem, you're returning your seat. Your seatmate's been anxiously wanting to ask a question. I'm sure y'all didn't talk about that when y'all were sitting down. So,
well, I'll take one last question.
One last question. Representative Gaines has a question. Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will my seatmate yield?
Yes, I will.
I know you mentioned President Trump passed 12 weeks of paid parental leave at the federal level. Isn't it also true that Ivanka Trump specifically supported the bill we passed 3 years ago?
That is true, and I recall that. Thank you, sir. And with that, I'll yield the well.
Okay, the ladies yielded well. We have some speakers signed up to speak. We'll recognize Representative Mary Frances Williams to speak to the bill. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I want to thank Speaker Pro Tem Jones and Chairwoman Dempsey and the other signers and sponsors of this bill. This is a really wonderful bill. As Speaker Pro Tem Jones mentioned, it increases the amount of paid parental leave upon the birth, adoption, or taking a child into foster care from 120 to 240 hours. So I wanted to share a little bit of history with you, though. This House has really played a strong leadership role in supporting parental and family care leave for several years. Before I was elected as a state representative, I worked for 6 years with many of you to pass what we call the Family Care Act, and this would address the issue that Representative Frazier mentioned, the Parent Protection Act, which in 2017 passed, and it will allow the use of up to 5 days of sick leave for the care of an immediate family member. So that was a real step forward, and this House really, that was not easily passed. There was a lot of opposition, but this House stood firm and was really, really wonderful. There was support from the Speaker's office and from other chairmen, and Chairman John Meadows was someone who was very particularly interested in and strongly supported it. So I want to share with you some info about why parental leave for new parents is important, including adoptive and foster parents. Maternity leave is essential not only for health of the newborn, but for health of the mother. And we've talked a lot in this House about maternal mortality. I think it makes sense to all of us, particularly those of us who've had babies and dealt with newborns or, adopted a newborn, that those weeks after the arrival of this new baby are tough. And in terms of maternal mortality, there are a lot of issues that just don't become apparent until 3 or 4 months after delivery. So if the mother is at home with the baby, she's probably in a situation where she is going to have a better health outcome. Some of the complications for new moms are sleep deprivation, and new dads too, inability to think clearly and ask for help, negative thoughts and feelings, and there's a positive correlation between mental health and paid maternity leave. It can lead to better bonding experiences between the mother and the child. Paid parental leave for adoptive and foster care parents. So children need bonding time with siblings. They need to adjust to becoming a parent. Is an experience of life, and lack of paid adoption leave forces a lot of employees to choose between a paycheck and time with their child. Adding a new addition to your family, I know all of us know this, is not an easy thing. It's a major life event. It's a beautiful thing, and we need to support families. And let's talk a little bit about paternity leave for those of you who are dads. It's possible for employees to be better fathers and better partners while also being inspiring leaders. The pluses of paternity leave are lifting family relationships, strengthening partnerships, improving finances, and also I have read that there is actually a decline in domestic violence cases in these situations where the father is involved and takes paternity leave. So again, thank you to Speaker Pro Tem Jones and other sponsors of the bill for their leadership on this issue. I'm so proud to speak on behalf of this bill, and I'm proud of the years of leadership that this House has exhibited in supporting families who need time to take care of their loved ones. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Lady taking questions, or she's yielding the will?
I'll take questions.
Is there a question for the lady in the will? I think you have no questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ladies, yield to the will. Representative Bennett is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of House Bill 1010, and I would like to thank Madam Speaker Pro Tem for bringing this bill. What it does is sends a signal to the people of Georgia that those elected to represent them under the Gold Dome actually really care about their families and their children. What is so exciting for me about this bill is that it doubles the paid parental leave for state employees at this time. I'm hopeful, Madam Speaker Pro Tem, about the prospect of continuing to expand parental leave beyond just state employees and beyond what we have right now. But this is a great first start, and I am just so excited about it. So I hope that this bill will continue to have a domino effect as we continue to support our families of all kinds in the state of Georgia. Thank you, Madam, for bringing this bill. Mr. Speaker, I yield the will.
Ladies, yielded the will. Representative Adesanya is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Like the two gentle ladies who spoke before me, I too rise in support of House Bill 1010, which increases the number of hours permitted for paid parental leave to 6 weeks. As many of you know, paid parental leave in Georgia is 3 weeks for state employees, and that includes school teachers. If this bill passes, we are on course to changing that to 6 weeks. And this is the sort of direction that we ought to be moving in Georgia. We have to always find ways to advance legislation that makes life of Georgians easier, better, not worse off. Under this bill, 6 weeks will be offered to the 300,000 state employees we have, including about 170,000 teachers. And several studies have found that the length of paid leave is crucial for maternal and infant health. And studies also suggest that less than 6 weeks of paid leave is linked to a reduction in overall health status and increased depression in both mothers and fathers. As a father of 3 daughters myself, including an 8-month-old, I can attest to it firsthand that providing access to paid parental leave in this day and age is one important way to advance gender and racial equity in Georgia. And when you look closely, the public sector workforce is made up of women and people of color, the two groups who are typically less likely to have access to paid leave. So by ensuring that these individuals do not lose out on critical income while fulfilling their caregiving responsibility, this bill, in my view, moved towards promoting economic security for Georgia's family. It was also found that women who received paid leave have a lower chance of reporting intimate partner violence. And this is the sort of bill we ought to be spending taxpayers' money working on, not wasting precious time like we did on Tuesday talking about borders in Texas and finding cynical ways to continue dividing our great country. As human beings who are elected to do the people's work, we each have a responsibility to care for humanity. And when you take care of others, you ultimately are on the way to discover your own joy and to have a happy life. So we will continue to elevate the voice of the people. We will continue to do the people's work. And we will continue to deliver victory to the people of Georgia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the will.
The gentleman has yielded the will. Representative Jasmine Clark is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good afternoon, colleagues. I think I'm standing between you and lunch, so I'll keep this brief. Today I rise in support of this measure because it is momentum in the right direction. Previously, in this chamber, we passed a bill that would allow only 3 weeks of paid parental leave for state employees. I was very hesitant to support that measure because 3 weeks falls well short of the gold standard for parental leave, which is 12 weeks. Giving birth is no small feat and can wreak havoc on the body. Those first 6 to 8 weeks after labor and delivery are a time of recovery and healing and can be marked by pain and fatigue as the body recovers. It's not glamorous, but the postpartum recovery period can include things like pelvic pain, constipation, healing from surgery after a C-section, and so much more. This is also a time for learning how to adjust to a new routine. Changing diapers, establishing a feeding schedule, and finding that time to sleep whenever you can. And we can't leave out the invaluable bonding time with the newest member or members of our family. Also, as was stated, most child care centers do not accept infants younger than 6 weeks. So this bill also addresses child care issues as well. 3 weeks was better than nothing, but it was still quite insufficient. This bill we are voting on today gets us halfway to the gold standard of 12 weeks and at least better aligns with a new parent's physical recovery needs. So I support this bill because I hope that it is a sign that 12 weeks paid leave currently available to federal workers is on the horizon. I also hope that one day this type of leave would be available to all working new parents in our state. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield the well.
The lady has yielded the well. Representative Lauren Daniel is recognized to speak to the bill. Representative Daniel.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Madam Pro Tem, for bringing this bill. It has been an honor to work alongside you in this effort. This is something that's really important for the women of this state and really the children of this state. The benefits are undeniable. You know, we know that children are better off when they're close to their moms. Like, you've seen it. I have brought my child every day, and many of you have talked about how well behaved he is and how happy he is, and the truth is it's because he's with me. I'm able to take care of him in a way that is not traditional, but I hope by showing you guys this and showing, you know, business owners across the state this, that it is possible. It's a good thing. It's good for the moms. It's good for babies. But when it comes to paternal leave, it is necessary. I'm glad that we're increasing it. I have had some questions on whether or not we should include men, and I want to tell you why we should. So I had severe complications with my pregnancy, ended up having an emergency C-section. I have 3 older kids, and I was not cleared to drive until I was 4 weeks postpartum. So that left my husband, who's absolutely wonderful and super supportive, to drive my kids everywhere, to take care of them in every capacity, to get them to their sports, to get my daughter to ballet while I was stuck in a bed with a newborn. And so when we talk about this, we are talking about every scenario that could possibly be under the sun and how to best support them. We've heard a lot about maternal mortality. It does play effect in this. So this bill is just yet another step in how we in this chamber are leading the way. And I really hope that when it comes to maternal and infant health, we're going to continue to do things like this here in Georgia. And, I mean, I think it speaks for itself. I'm very thankful to be a part of it, and I ask for your favorable consideration. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The lady has yielded the well. Representative Townsend is recognized to speak to the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Madam Pro Tem, for the bill. I'll just speak briefly, mainly from the school end. When I was a principal or CEO of a college career academy and then a superintendent, I saw the need back then. I saw the first need when my wife was a cheat teacher as well and did this. So the extra leave, if you don't have the time built in as veteran teachers do, this extra leave is critical. And this is one of the considerations you do when you interview people. They ask about families and how that's going to work, and they ask you those questions, and you have to be honest with them. You have to tell them what the benefits are, what's going to happen when you get here. And if you don't do that, then they're not going to trust you anyway down the line. So this bill is critical for workforce development. It's not going to break the bank of anybody else. It's a good bill. It's a bill. I don't think there's a principal in the states that would oppose this bill, especially when it comes hiring season this spring. So just on behalf of former educators, current educators, I think it's a good bill, and hopefully you'll see it the same way.
Appreciate your viewpoint, Representative. Chair Lady Silcox is recognized to speak to the bill. Well, that concludes our supporters of the bill. All that spoke were in favor. Maybe a new record. Mr. Clerk, if you'll ring that bell just 2 or 3 times, let everyone know we're ready to vote. Is there any objection to the previous question being ordered? The chair hears none. The previous question is ordered. Is there any objection to agreeing to the report of the committee, which was favorable to the passage of the bill? Chair hears none. The report of the committee is agreed to. Shall this bill now pass? All in favor of the passage of the bill will vote yes. All those opposed will vote no, and the clerk will unlock the machine. Have all members voted? All members voted. If so, the clerk will lock the machine. On the passage of House Bill 1010, the yeas are 153, the nays are 11. The bill, having received the requisite constitutional majority, is therefore passed. House Bill 424 will be postponed to the next legislative day. For what purpose does Chair Lady Ballinger rise?
I'd like to make a motion.
State your motion.
I would like to move the bill, House Bill 924, from the Health Committee to the Public Health Committee. Both chairs are in agreement.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption?
House Bill 924 by Representative Ballinger, the 23rd, and others to be entitled an act to amend Chapter 24, Title 33 of the Official Code of Georgia, annotated relating to insurance generally, so as to prohibit insurers from discriminating against certain healthcare facilities and providers.
On the lady's motion that HB 924 be withdrawn from the Health Committee and recommitted to the Public Health Committee, is there objection? Hearing none, it is so ordered. We have 9 afternoon orders. That's 9. That's one less than 10. So I'm going to give you all 1 minute to present your afternoon orders. We'll start with Representative Townsend for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Exciting news, those a week from yesterday on Tuesday. Next Tuesday will be Gone Owls Chamber Day. We'll have a Low Country Bowl at the Depot. We're going to have drinks and appetizers, adult drinks and kids drinks at 5 o'clock, and then followed by the Low Country Boil. So we invite you out there for that. You know it's going to be a good day. Also, if you want to see the esteemed Woody Woodside, I think most of us know Woody, that's a good time to catch him at the Depot. So again, next Tuesday, Golden Isles Day here at the Capitol. You'll see about 100 of us here and Low Country Boil. Looking forward to seeing you.
Is Chairman Hogan coming?
He is not. He didn't get permission from Libby, so you know how that goes.
Well, maybe Woody can handle it. Representative Draper is recognized for an afternoon order. We'll pass her right now. Representative Kendrick is recognized for an afternoon order. She passes right now. Representative Kelly. He's here. Gentleman's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today's a historic day in Cedartown and Polk County in the 16th District. This morning, Governor Kemp announced that Solar Cycle, an advanced manufacturing facility, is locating in the Cedartown Industrial Park, making a $344 million investment and bringing with them about 600 jobs. It was a great collaborative effort between our state, our county, and our cities, all working together to attract this great industry to Polk County and Cedartown, and we're glad to have them. So thank you to all the hard work from our economic development teams at all levels of government, and welcome to the 16th District. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Congratulations to you and the community. That's awesome. Representative Al Williams, gentleman from the coast, is recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If you will look at the screens here, that's a photograph of a school in Bryan County, which was then Way Station. Standing in the middle there, I know you don't think this is the gentleman to the right, but the gentleman to the left is my grandfather, and the gentleman to his left is Henry Ford. Henry Ford has just agreed to build a new school for African Americans in Way Station, where my granddaddy was the postmaster before it was named Richmond Hill. And my mother taught at that school for 3 years, and Henry Ford paid her salary. We've come a long ways, but Henry Ford built the finest rural school for African Americans in Georgia, in Bryan County, Georgia. That's a moment in little-known black history.
That was Way Station, which is now Richmond Hill. Thank you, Representative. Representative Kendricks, there she is, recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. You should have received a flyer in your office about the 2024 Tech Demo Day that I'm hosting on February the 29th. So we'll have some tech founders that are going to be set up in the South Wing, so please stop by from 8 to 12 and lend them your support. We will have some black founders as well in celebration of Black History Month, so thank you to the Technologists the Technologists of Color and the Urban League of Greater Atlanta and Startup Atlanta for helping to host this. So please stop by. You'll get more details as we get closer to the event, and let's support our tech founders here in the state. Thank you.
Representative Holly is recognized for an afternoon order. Please give the gentleman in the wheel your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House want to recognize for our Black History tribute a man who we all actually have felt his impact, even though we did not know his name. Sherman Lofton Jr. is a faithful son of the late Georgian by the same name. He's also the Senior Director for Cybersecurity Operations at Georgia Tech. Today, he wears his black and gold as the 14th Georgia District Director of the Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated fraternity. However, Sherman Lofton Jr. made it into Georgia history this past year, or rather last year, when he followed in the footsteps of justice stalwarts like Thurgood Marshall and Homer Plessy by filing his cause of action, Alpha Phi Alpha Incorporated versus State of Georgia, which successfully saw our legislature redraw the voting maps to maintain fair districts for everyone. So thank you. We honor you today.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Noel Williams and the House dance team. Dance off team. Oh, excuse me. Dance or.
Where's Danny Matt? There he is. We need our wives here too.
He's got a little spring in his step there, I tell you what.
Oh yeah. I just wanted to let y'all know that once again we whipped the Senate when Chairman Tarvin was talking this morning about don't worry about losing. Well, that was going through my mind when we were facing them in the dance-off. That was no thought coming. I knew we were going to win. And we won again for the second year in a row. Next year, hope it's a bigger event. But we won in kickball, we won in dancing, and we win in legislating. So I don't think we can say anything else.
All right, let's see something. Now I wanted you to dance. I didn't want you to put it up here. Unless, oh, goodness. Awesome. Thank you, gentlemen. The ball was getting ready to roll off. I didn't want to break it. I didn't want to break anything else up here. Congratulations. Thank y'all. Representative Lupton, recognized for an afternoon order.
Well, I don't know how to follow that.
No, you
I
can't.
just wanted to re-invite everybody. Tomorrow we're going to be having at 2 p.m. tomorrow on the South Steps a press conference honoring our state's sexual assault centers. We're going to have a lot of people who do great work with sexual assault and domestic violence survivors. We just want to lift them up and educate people on the good life-saving work that they do. So 2 o'clock tomorrow, South Steps would love to have your support. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative. Chairman Saines, recognized for an afternoon order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in support of the efforts of our governor, First Lady, and this General Assembly in combating human trafficking in Georgia. Human trafficking isn't simply an Atlanta problem. It isn't only a city issue. It's an issue affecting communities across Georgia, impacting our young people, our churches, and our businesses. We've advanced the work of the Grace Commission alongside our Speaker, our Governor, and our amazing First Lady, Marty Kemp, bringing together folks from across the aisle to fight for those who need a champion. We've worked to protect those trapped in human trafficking from being entrapped in our court battles, and we've worked to provide for those escaping human trafficking, giving the resources for them on the road to recovery. I know this House majority will continue to lead a bipartisan effort to help those that need help, rebuilding their lives and sending the criminals for this to our state's penal institutions where they belong. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield the well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Stinson is recognized. Give the lady your attention. She has some information she'd like to share with you, and you may want to join her on this. Lady's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of the House, I ask that you please stand in honor of Mr. Michael Anthony Woodall. Michael Anthony Woodall was a dedicated and faithful public servant whose life was tragically cut short on June 15, 2023 at the tender age of 26, doing services at the District 3 Assistant Highway Maintenance Foreman with the Georgia Department of Transportation. Last year in June, unfortunately, Michael lost his life as the DOT truck was driving down a state highway, and unfortunately a tree fell over onto the truck that he was riding in, and he instantly went home to be with the Lord. So we ask for a moment of silence in honor of Michael Anthony Woodall of Taylor County, Georgia. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, colleagues. And I have a resolution in his honor, and I ask members if you would please join me in signing this resolution to let his family know that the Georgia House of Representatives stands in prayer for the entire Woodall family and the Georgia Department of Transportation. Thank you.
Will the lady have that at her desk?
Yes, sir.
And
at
you'll
my
have
desk.
it here today and tomorrow, would I assume? Would that
Yes,
be the case?
sir. Today and tomorrow at my desk, if you would please be kind to sign. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, members of the House.
That concludes our afternoon orders. Mr. Clerk, will you read the caption to a group of privileged resolutions?
recognizing and commending Elizabeth Libby Anthony, recognizing and commending Zoe Willis, recognizing and commending Morris Roberts, recognizing February 15, 2024 as Donor Day at the State Capitol, recognizing February 15, 2024 as Alpha Phi Alpha Day at the State Capitol, commending the League of Women Voters of Georgia, commending Brother Dr. William Simmons, commending Brother Rob Willis, honoring several cities upon their designation is Georgia Plan First Communities, recognizing, commending the Preface Project and its founder, Jonathan Sung on Terrace J.T. Wu, recognizing the Association of Georgia General Aviation Airports, recognizing and commending Mayor Bose Godwin in his outstanding public service, recognizing and commending Wayne Hall, recognizing and commending Carver Joseph, recognizing and commending Licit Bird Pickens, recognizing February 15, 2024 as Georgia Federation of Democratic Women in Blue Day at the State Capitol, and recognizing and commending Brooks A. Keel, Ph.D., for his dedicated service to advancing higher education in the state of Georgia, the University System of Georgia, Georgia Southern University, and Augusta University. And for other purposes, that completes the reading of the privilege resolutions.
Is there any objection to adopting the privileged resolutions? The chair hears none, and the resolutions are adopted. We're moving on to announcements. Chairman Corbett is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Motor Vehicles Committee will meet in the morning, room 606 CLOB at 8 o'clock. Thank you.
Chairman Werkeiser is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Industry and Labor will meet this afternoon at 3 o'clock, CLOB 506. Thank you.
Representative McLean is recognized for an announcement. Representative Dewey McLean, is that you? Yes, that's you. Representative McLean.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Working Family Caucus will meet upon adjournment. We're in the mezzanine, not over in CLOB with the mezzanine, the Senate mezzanine. So please stop by. There's food there. So look forward to seeing some of y'all. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Jasmine Clark is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Members of GLBC, we will have a press conference at 2 o'clock p.m. on the South Steps. This will be followed by a panel of experts, so a panel discussion in CAP 230 at 2:30. CAP 230 at 2:30. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's catchy. Chair Darlene Taylor, recognized for an announcement. She waves. Chairman Mark Newton is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Committee on Interstate Cooperation will have a meeting in 403 Capitol 15 minutes after adjournment. So 15 minutes and 403 at the Capitol.
Chairman Gunther is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Judiciary Committee will meet in room 132 of the Capitol at 2 p.m. At 2 p.m. Thank you.
Representative Hong is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Judiciary Non-Civil Hong Subcommittee will meet at 3:30 in room 606. Thank you.
Chair Lady Bellinger is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Juvenile Justice Committee will be meeting this afternoon upon adjournment in room 515 over in the CLOB. Thank you.
Majority Leader Estration is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I've had a few members ask me whether we're in session tomorrow. The original calendar, we had a recess date, but with the newer calendar that was passed, we are in session tomorrow. So just a reminder to everyone, there is session tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, we're going to start about 6. Representative Crowe is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Ways and Means Subcommittees will meet in room 341 upon adjournment. Ways and Means Subcommittees will meet in 341 upon adjournment, and full committee will meet at 8 a.m. tomorrow in CLOB room 606.
Chair Lady Cooper is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please listen up to everybody who's on the Health and Public Health and the committee. We have had a change in our room because everybody's meeting on top of everybody else. So today at 2 o'clock, we will meet. This is Public Health Committee in room 415 of the CLOB. So today, 2 o'clock in room 415, CLOB. See you there. Thank you very much. We have a big schedule.
Representative Park Cannon is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Fulton County delegation will not meet today. The Fulton County delegation will meet tomorrow at noon in Club Room 307. And separately, former Representative Mabel Thomas will be here tomorrow. We're so excited to have her come and join us. We're asking that all members who know her to wear purple and to join us tomorrow for her morning order. Thank you.
We look forward to seeing her. That'll be great. Representative Anderson is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Governmental Affairs will meet at 2:30 in 406 CLOB. Governmental Affairs, 2:30, 406 CLOB. Thank you.
Chairman Saines is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Special Rules will not be meeting today at 2 o'clock. Instead, we'll be meeting at 8 a.m. tomorrow at in room 415 CLOB. Thank you.
The Dean of this House, Representative Chairman Gerald Green, is recognized for an announcement.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The House Public Safety and Homeland Security Subcommittee today at 3 o'clock, room 515. Thank you.
Representative Crowe needs to amend his announcement.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ways and Means Full Committee will meet in the morning in CLOB 406, not 606. It's CLOB 406. Thank you to Representative Vance Smith for the correction on that.
What time is that, Representative?
That'll be 8 a.m. tomorrow, sir.
8 a.m. Thank you. Thank you, Representative Smith. That completes our announcements. Members, if you have a page, they've been working hard all day and they're still hanging out with us, so that's awesome. So if you join me down up front for page pictures. The majority leader of this House, Majority Leader Estration, is recognized for a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move that this House stand adjourned until 9 a.m. on Friday, February 16th, 2024.
On the motion of the Majority Leader that this House stands adjourned until 9 a.m. Friday, February the 16th, 2024. All those in favor will say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. We are adjourned.